Okay, welcome back. We're on page 100 talking about centering. And one of the things, if you were to pick a fixed display size, one of the things you'd want to know is, well, what is the standard resolution out there? Well, there's some people out there that keep track of this. There's actually a chart basically showing you, how many people are using each resolution. And it's fairly safe bet that the width 1024 would be a safe number to use. Looks like the most popular right now is 1366 for January of 2016. Okay. Anyway, bottom line is there's companies out there that keep this up for you, so you don't have to do that. Okay, cool. So yes, I would use a div tag and wrap it in the body and create an ID called centered. I guess I could have used a class, but isn't it fairly obvious that if I'm wrapping everything inside the body, that there's not going to be two of these things, right? If I'm wrapping everything inside the body in a div tag, then yeah, there's only one. Okay, so you'd be safe. I mean, you could use a class, but it'd be okay. It would be okay. Okay. Next is, wait a minute, what about the order of these things? So on page 112, they talk about, there's a little a graphic that shows the order in which things appear. Because if I have external, plus I have embedded, plus I have, inline, how's that going to work? So here's how it works. The first, the first layer of paint is whatever the browser default is. The browser default for strong, for example, is to put something in bold. So that's the first layer of paint. Followed by external. So you apply the external next. Followed by any embedded, which is the stuff up here. Remember, so this is an external. And then I could have an embedded in here, right? I could have another embedded guy called style. And that would be the embedded. And then later would be the inline. And then layer whatever attributes that you have thrown in there. So that's the order. Now, I will tell you, this is good data, but they're wrong. And the reason is, in every browser I've ever seen, if I put the link above the embedded, then they are correct. The order in the page is correct. But if I grab this guy and put him below, then reality is it's going to do the embedded before the external. So in order to keep this chart correct, to not make liars out of them, always do it this way. Put the links above the embedded every single time so that it follows the convention that everyone kind of understands. So yes, you can unintentionally break the convention shown here on page 112. I'm just telling you. So don't do that. The last thing we're going to talk about is CSS validation, because I've got a bunch of stuff here and maybe I made some mistakes. So just like there's a way you can go in and do validation for HTML, I can go in here and grab this and go to a web page that has validation. And I can go here and spit this in, hit the button, and it'll come back and say, woohoo, I found things or didn't find things. So once again, I'm going to be grading you on whether or not you have validated HTML5 and validated CSS3. So yes, all these things have to be validated. And just to show you what I'm talking about, if I go back to here and I misspell like width or something, I don't know, just throw an extra character in there. Like, I accidentally mistyped it. If I was to do this, it's going to say, whoa, found something. There's a text called width that doesn't exist. So it's good stuff. All right, we've reached the end of this chapter, and I apologize, this was a very long chapter, but I have one tiny little wrap up to do, and that is two major concepts that they introduced into this chapter. One is, what's the fundamental purpose for CIS? And the answer is to separate content from presentation. It does lots of things, but that fundamental concept is the separation thing. And then, what's the purpose for the div tag and the span tag and those others, the header and the footer and the nav and main, those guys? What's the purpose for those guys? Well, the answer is these are made up tags that by themselves don't have any formatting at all. They're just put out there so that you can have a way to attach a style to a section of the web page, or a tiny, big section of the web page using div, or a tiny section of the web page using span. So that's what this is about. Those tags were created just to have you a surface that you can attach a style to. Okay, I'm sorry this took such a long time, but it's an awful lot of material in here, and we're going to be continuing to use CSS over and over again. So if you don't get this, you're in bad shape. All right, so see you guys at the next chapter.